Good evening, I'm Keaton Hall. Thursday's heavy rain left communities restarting efforts to rebuild from July's flood. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox details how Letcher Countyans are becoming more frustrated with progress seemingly halted.
How are we going to get you out of here and stuff?
This has become a common sight in eastern Kentucky after another flood. Temporary bridges washed away, leaving locals stranded.
They're washed completely out. They have no access. We have no answer from them.
What washed away was already a replacement after the July flood tore apart their original bridge. Now Lisa has to travel by foot on a railroad for a way out. And it is not a short route. Lisa is not the only one caught with no way out. Surrounded by steep mountains, Jeff Sturgill's only way out is over a creek.
I had to wade the creek to get across, and if we go to the store to get groceries or anything, I'll have to borrow a car.
If an emergency situation occurs, they are basically on their own.
They cut completely off. There's no way to get nothing to them.
Letcher County Fiscal Court declared a state of emergency, but they are waiting for approval from the state and federal government, even though there is not much time to wait.
We're hung, we got no answers yet. We're waiting, but nobody's given us an answer yet of what's going to be done with this.
The timeline to recovery just seems to be growing even longer. In Letcher County, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
Kenny Anderson said there are 4 temporary bridges washed out in his district alone, along with flooding in buildings and homes again. The Colson Civic Center in Letcher County was also flooded with over 5 feet of water in July, and the heavy rain earlier this month carried mud into the event space yet again. The Civic Center has been a place for distribution of supplies since the July flood, while they've renovated their own damage. Right before they were to have an Easter egg hunt for the community, it was flooded again. And Martin Holbrook with Colson Civic Center says it has been a frustrating process.
Ready, and we got hit with this second round of water, and as you can see, everything kind of got muddied up a little bit, so we're back at square one. Not as bad as the first time, but still yet it's mud. So
Holbrook also says they plan to have the Easter egg hunt outdoors, but their building will not be ready for use. Several major roadways in eastern Kentucky are shut down due to high water. The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet is reporting the following highways across 3 counties are closed. In Harlan County, Kentucky, Highway 2008 and 413 are shut down. In Knox County, a dozen roads across the county are shut down. And in Whitley County, Kentucky, 2996 is shut down at mile marker 3.5. If you see high water, don't try to cross it. Turn around if you can. A Monticello man was arrested following a drug investigation. On Sunday, a deputy noticed a car traveling on Gwynn Drive with no visible license plate. The deputy pulled the car over and found Zachary E. Lair behind the wheel. Officials said Lair admitted driving with a suspended driver's license. Deputy said he noticed a bag of a crystal substance on the front seat of the car. The substance was 28.5 grams of meth. Lair was arrested and taken to the Wayne County Detention Center. He faces several charges, including drug trafficking. The Campbell County Sheriff's Office Criminal Investigations Division has been busy with 3 different drug arrests in as many days. On Thursday, La Follette man was arrested following a drug bust at his house on Demery Road. Deputies arrested John William Hatcher, say they found illegal drugs. He's facing multiple drug charges. And they executed a drug bust at his home in Jacksboro for the second time in less than a month. Deputies arrested 2 people, Brenda Albright and Sarai Keelan, on Wednesday. Albright is facing charges for maintaining a dwelling for drug purposes, and Keelan is facing multiple different drug possession charges. In Whitley County, an arrest has been made in connection with a stabbing. Deputies were investigating a fight complaint at a residence in southern Whitley County off Buck Creek Road. They say one woman was found with stab wounds and a man also had been injured. The woman was transported to Baptist ER. 45-year-old William Young was taken into custody. Officials say Young also stabbed a dog outside of the residence during the assault. In light of recent tragedies like mass shootings or people being attacked, officials are saying the run, hide, then fight protocol might be outdated. Some believe the fight aspect of the run, hide, fight is becoming more prominent and possibly more effective. So learning self-defense in today's society could be crucial. Jiu-jitsu and other self-defense classes teach you how to stay calm and collected when your brain goes into fight or flight mode.
I just think nowadays it's just, you just can't get away from the fact that you need to know how to move your body, especially moving your body in relation to somebody else in terms of defending yourself or defending someone else is just huge.
And while self-defense skills are beneficial for everyone, instructor Polly Seal says it's especially important for women to be aware of the skills that they can use.
Well, the weather remains quiet as we close out the weekend, but some changes are on the way as we get into the new work week. Here's a live look right now over at the London Corbin Airport, looking at a cloudy sky back in the distance, but check out the temperature, 56 degrees, well above average this evening. And same story over in Pulaski County at downtown Somerset, also looking at a quiet evening, current temperature 55, so very comfortable across the region this evening. All of us in the middle to upper 50s, 56 in Jackson and Pikeville, 54 for Hazard, 57 for Manchester, and 58 over in Monticello. Up on radar, a clean sweep, but notice clouds continue to move off to the north, and clouds will continue into tonight as well. But another quiet night is on tap. Low to middle 40s for overnight lows. We stay dry under a partly cloudy sky. But like I said, some changes are on the way by Monday, and also tracking some warmer temperatures. All that and more coming up in just a little bit. Keaton.
Thank you, Cameron. You might be soon paying more for a used car. Wholesale prices for used cars being sold at auction have risen sharply in the last few weeks. According to Manheim, prices jumped 4% in just the last 2 weeks. That's an unusually large increase in such a short period of time, and the jump also caught industry insiders by surprise. Shortage of new car inventory helped drive both new and used car prices to record levels earlier last year. The busy selling season for used cars is only months away, and it's tied to when potential buyers get their tax refunds. Now dealers are scrambling to rebuild inventories, which is resulting in higher prices for used cars. According to data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics Establishment Survey, non-farm payroll employment rose by more than $500,000 in January. The inflation rate slowed slightly in January, but the Kentucky Retail Federation says it hasn't seen any big changes. Steve McLean says holiday sales were up last year, but not as much as predicted, which shows that although people were spending their money, they were doing it cautiously.
Consumers are still going to be somewhat careful about what they're spending on, probably looking more at just, your essentials. As some prices are coming down, we are still seeing some items, particularly some groceries, that are still up.
McLean says things like eggs are still up in prices, but he says they're expecting prices to continue to slowly decline. Coming up a little bit later, we speak to one local business about how this might be impacting them. A fire in Bath County Friday left one nonprofit organization devastated. The nonprofit Christian Social Services provides assistance to people in need. The nonprofit has also been a partner of God's Pantry for more than 20 years. Friday's fire left them without their two-story building and hundreds of dollars of food and other supplies. But despite all that, the director of the nonprofit is thankful for their community, keeping them on their feet and helping them rebuild.
And I will say this about this community. People are always willing to help. And that I say from my heart. I'm serious about that.
The nonprofit and God's Food Pantry Bank will be hosting a community event on Tuesday where they'll be providing food to the community. Anyone interested in donating or volunteering can visit godspantry.org. A new study found that contracting COVID could give you strong protection against reinfection for up to 10 months. Samantha Valentino sat down with a local doctor to discuss these findings. He says you should still get vaccinated.
Right now, we're in a much better place. We don't have as many sick people. The hospitals are not as overwhelmed.
While most Kentucky counties are in the green, meaning low COVID community levels, nearly 30 are in the yellow, 2 are in the red.
Now, we still have problems. You still have to pay attention, but we're much better than we were.
A new study from the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation COVID-19 forecasting team found that your immune system can provide almost 90% protection against all variants of COVID for at least 10 months after a COVID infection.
Now that means doesn't mean you won't get COVID, okay? But it means if you get COVID, you're less likely to end up in the hospital or with a severe problem with it. So yes, immunity probably wanes a little bit, and even though our antibodies go away, the body has other ways, other immune systems that may kick in if you are exposed to COVID.
Even if you've already had COVID, Dr. Fox says you should still get the vaccine.
But what you don't want to do is take your chance, say, okay, if I get COVID, I'm going to be immune. Well, you could be immune. You could also be dead, okay? So the risk of catching COVID and having a complication when you have no immunity, it could be severe, could be death, could be long COVID. So you still want to get vaccinated to prevent that problem.
According to the CDC, 69% of the U.S. population have completed their primary series of COVID vaccines, and only 16% have received their updated booster. In Lexington, Samantha Valentino, WKYT.
Coming up at 6, an Eastern Kentucky group gathers for worship, inspired by the movements across the Commonwealth.
And the weather is quiet to close out the weekend, but we are tracking some rain chances by Monday. All those details coming up next.